Ladies and gentlemen, roll out the red carpet because it's Friday. Yes, permit me to welcome you to the weekend, to another beautiful weekend. I mean, it's Friday. What happens? It's Friday. Take it down, take it to your take a glass of wine. You can see I'm having a glass of something chilled. And I'm chilling right here in... Don't worry, I'll tell you all about where we are today. After this timer, because we'll have a guest in the house today, and we are doing it exceptionally different today. I mean, we're going to be giving you a whole lot of information. I know a lot of us want to Japa from Nigeria. Don't worry, we'll tell you the right way to go about it because our guest is a travel expert. We'll be right back. You're welcome back again, and in case you have just tuned in, it is Talking Trends right here on Oxford TV. And before I went on that short break, I told you I'm going to be talking about travels today because Nigeria right now, a lot of us want to Japa. I'm just saying it through my chest, clenched, you know. So a lot of us want to Japa, and we have been duped by a whole lot of these people because they say necessity is the mother of invention. A lot of people have just become overnight travel consultants, overnight travel agents, just because they want to make money, and because a lot of us are so gullible, we want to go by every means possible. Some of us have even gone through the desert and we got stuck there. Some of us have even, you know, we all know the story, how it goes, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So today we have decided to bring a travel consultant who is going to be talking to us about, I mean, those questions that you have in your mind. I have been able to form some of those questions myself. I mean, I'm going to be speaking through your mind. So he's going to be answering some of these questions and clarifying a whole lot of them so that you and I can actually know the right way we ought to go before we can think of, you know, to Japa, you know, as they go now. So permit me to introduce my guest today. He is Lucky Enyo, and he is a travel consultant, immigration consultant, travel,
all the same. Just limited to travel consultant.
Travel consultant. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, thank you for being on the show today. And this is Talking Trends. This is your first time of being on Talking Trends, and then we have served you some, you know, delicacies. You can see, right?
Really
it's
nice.
So red with some grass on it. Green. The land is green.
So many stuff around it.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. So let's dive right in. I mean, and I think I want us to take it from like the baby steps today, because a lot of us, even though we say, okay, we want to travel, we don't even know our right from our left. All we know is that we shall just want to travel. And a lot of us, you know, this acronym now, Japa. We want to Japa. So, and I just want to start from there. I mean, if someone wants to travel, say for instance, I say I want to travel, what are the steps I ought to take?
Okay, first, thank you for having me on your show. And just before I go on to give an intro to what you have said, in your introduction, you really did say something that a lot of people have actually got their fingers burnt by getting duped by people who claim to be one form of travel agent or the other, who seem to make the whole thing really tough for people like us who are actually legitimate in the business. But however, like I always tell people, I say, you go to a man who has actually struggled to travel, he becomes an agent. How do you expect someone to give you what he doesn't have?
Is that the case most times?
Most people who are actually, you know, when people come to us, most times they say, okay, I'm a travel agent, I've got XYZ clients. We've always insisted, we need to see the person who needs to travel. We need the person who needs to travel to put his hand on paper to sign certain agreements, and he needs to understand what it's all about. Okay. But that aside, travels generally, people travel for various reasons. A lot of people travel for vacation, which could be tourism. Others could travel for migration, which means they are going to live in such environment. Now, obviously, from this part of the world where we belong, there have always been one or two abuses of such visas, because the visa for tourism is quite different from the visa for migration. But however, people have intent to migrate, and then they are actually going on a tourist or visit visas. And you find out that you may be saying from your documents that I want to travel and go and come back, but these consul officers or visa officers, as people may call them, are very intelligent to see behind what you're saying. You say you want to go visit, but certain documentation does not reflect somebody who wants to go visit and come back. So generally, if you want to travel, what do you need to do? Whether it's for tourists or you're migrating, you need certain things, like basically you need an international passport. Then you decide where you're going to. The rule varies with different countries, and so it's good people understand that the way it works with the US is quite different from the way it works with Canada and maybe France, Germany, and all the rest.
Yeah.
And like we have, I want to categorize travels to be like the US, because of the fact that you need to go for a physical interview, and 80% of the decision on your visa is based on what you actually interact with the consul officers. But for the embassies like Canada and others, it's 80% of it's based on the documents you have actually submitted. So you may not really discuss or talk with anybody.
Or is it because some of them don't have embassies in Nigeria, or?
Not really. It's about the rules.
Okay.
Some of them say, tell me what you have to tell me verbally in documents.
Oh, okay.
Give documentary proofs. So if there are no documentary, it's possible to get, for people who have been to the US Embassy for visas, for example, you just discover that sometimes the consul officer makes a decision in less than 2 minutes from just asking you 2 questions, sometimes 1 question, and he's made a decision whether to approve or to deny. But in the case of the other embassies where you actually have to submit documents, they really need to review those documents, verify necessary documents, and then decide whether to approve or to deny, pending on the category of visas that you're applying for. Like I said, there's tourist visa, or generally we call them non-immigrant. When we say a visa is non-immigrant, it means you want to go and come back.
Okay.
You're not going to work. Non-immigrant falls in the areas of tourism. Either you're going to just for vacation, or you're going to see a friend or family, or even when you're going to study.
Okay.
Study is still non-immigrant, because you, at the point of application, you must be able to show that you intend to study and return back to your country. Even if you may have intentions to stay back, but at the point of application, the consul officer actually suspects that you want to study and remain, even if it's legitimate, he may not grant that visa, because at the point of application, you must be ready to go and come back.
Yeah, but there's been some student visa applications whereby you've already made some commitments as regards school fees over in that country.
Yep.
So the consul officer in Nigeria, do they have the right to reject?
Yes.
And refund you your money?
Yes, they refund. Some schools will take some administrative charges, as the case may be. The reason, people make mistake for visa to just be the large sums of money. No, it's not about the large sum of money. In this case, let me talk about non-immigrant or tourist visa. We're talking about someone going to visit, or study, or see a family friend, or attend a conference, as the case may be. They are all non-immigrants. If you want to go for such visa, you must be able to prove to the consul officer that you have a stable economic situation here in Nigeria.
Okay.
And what makes you stable, and that stable economic situation is what is going to make you return back to Nigeria. That must be painted. Now, why do I use the word painted? If I use the word paint, it means people may not have that profile. They want to assume it. Not just that. There have been somebody who has applied legitimately for a visa with over 500 million naira, came to the office for in the account, and was turned down.
So, like, how much? Let's say, for instance, let's even narrow it down. For instance, somebody wants to go on a tourism visa, right? And then, is there a stipulated amount of money that person ought to have?
No.
No?
There is no stipulated amount. One, why I say there are no stipulated amount. First, besides, everyone going to apply for visa have always had the money they need to spend on the other side with them. But that is not what the consul officer needs to see to approve that visa. He needs to see that you are economically stable here in Nigeria. Let's take, for example, if you go visit the US, for example, and you have a job that pays you 100,000 naira
over here, yeah.
And you go for a visa interview, and the consular officer asks you how much, it's not cast on stone, but that is an example. How much do you earn? Say, I earn 100,000 naira. And if you earn 100,000, it's assumed that you have living expense of, like, let's say 50,000 through the month. So you could make savings of 50,000 naira. You go to the US, you are supposed to obey the conditions of a visa, which is to return back to Nigeria. But in this case, you find out that you get to the US just to clean somebody who is just doing some funny jobs, earns $1,000 at the end of the month. I mean, you really cannot get someone who earns $1,000. It should be more than $1,000. And $1,000, if you bring back to Naira, if you look at the street rate, you're talking about over 500,000 Naira. So the US is going to be attractive to you. In that case, even if the consular officer does not tell you this is why he's refusing you, your salary is not good enough to get a visa to such countries.
So in other words, before you make that plan of traveling, you let's say you talked about economic situation in Nigeria. So economic situation in Nigeria that he's talking about is like you work and you earn a living. You earn, I mean,
you are very comfortable
in your country, first of all.
That's why sometimes some of us, you say, maybe for example, you're going for an interview and the consular officer asks you, have you traveled before out of Nigeria? You say no. And for example, have you had vacation? Now, you've been in Nigeria for 25 years or 30 years, depending on how old you are. You've lived in Lagos and maybe somewhere in Enugu all your life. You have never taken time out to go to Calabar in Obudu Ranch to see what's like on vacation. So your first ever vacation in life is the US. It's not clean.
I mean, you have the money to travel.
It's very possible, but I'm just trying to say that if you earn 250,000 Naira and you have not made vacation, it means it's not part of you. And so when you go to a consular officer and say, I just want to go see what Disney World is like and all that place, you have never been living such life.
They know it's Japa level.
It doesn't really add up. I mean, you've not been to Ghana, you've not been to some places all around here. So what I'm saying is, it's not just one criteria, but your lifestyle have actually shown that you have not really been living a life that is comfortable. So you've not really been living comfortable life, and that's why you find out that there are some people who could they might have had travels maybe to like Ghana. Ghana is just here. Ghana is not attractive for a Nigerian. He would not go there for economic reasons, but the Western world is attractive. And so sometimes what they really look at is, can we see some other things? How much does he earn? Has he got properties besides the salary you earn? Like I was telling somebody, I said, while I was very, very young, I started a life savings plan. I've always been in business. I don't have pension, but I started life savings plan with different insurance companies. Almost every year I open a new life plan, and those plans were spanning to like 15 years. I have some of them that have even matured. I mean, way back while I was just trying money. Now these are documents that shows that I'm interested in my future here in Nigeria. I've got lots of savings. Besides that, you see me buying federal government bonds. I'm saving. I'm not doing that. You see me buying things like treasury bills to just lock my money to actually give interest. Now, all these documents are part of what goes to the embassy to say, I've got savings everywhere. Now, this is actually telling the man there that this man has actually got something he's living for. He's not just hand to mouth. He's got enough to save, not just the accounts per se, but however there could be people just the account could still suffice. But what I'm saying is that for you to get a visa, non-immigrant, you must show that you have a very stable economic lifestyle here. That's the primary. Secondarily, what are your other ties? But that's why I say secondary. 80% is on economy. Family ties. If you were to have a family, you come back here, that could possibly be
family in terms
wife,
of
children.
What about siblings, mother, father?
Yes, you are not really committed. You are not responsible. There's no law that says you are responsible for your siblings.
So in other words, someone who has let's say someone who has a spouse, children here might get the visa than someone who doesn't have any of that.
Yes, might get the visa on the condition that he has also meet economy. Remember, I said that's the first.
That's
he has a good job or good business, which can be proved documentarily. If it's the US, verbally you have to say it. If I say I'm a medical doctor, if I talk to you as a medical doctor, I'm not a consul officer, but sometimes when people come to us and say they want to go for a US interview, they could be very good, they have all the documents, but they cannot express it. For the US, you should be able to express. If you can't express that your status economically, which means if I've got money, I don't bother if you don't give me the visa. If you don't give me a US visa, I'm going to go to France. I mean, that attitude comes in, and it's reflected in a number of places. And so by the time they turn you down today, you're coming 2 years later, you're still coming with no travel. If you had intent to travel, you should have gone elsewhere.
Elsewhere, right? That's true. Okay, I mean, there's so many things to when it comes to travel. So I just want us to really look into. Okay, let's even talk about the student visa now.
Okay.
I mean, because we've talked about the tourism visa, then student visa, which is most times whatever university you're going to go, you've already applied ahead to that university. There's been some level of commitment from that part. So now, back here in Nigeria, if you've applied from here to Nigeria in the university in the United Kingdom, and then the embassy here, you're now going to the embassy here to get a visa. What is the process?
Okay, now I also want to separate it. For the UK has a point-based system for study visa. What is point-based? Get this and get this, we must give you a visa. So getting a study visa in the UK is very simple. Get admission from a school, you get 10 points, get X amount into your account. The amount will be totaling maybe your school fees plus your living expense. Let it stay in your account for 30 days. You have hit that point. You definitely will get that visa, especially for most people going for postgraduate or undergraduate. Of course, you need to go through an interview, video interview remotely, and prove that you really want to study. But however, once you have the admission from the school and you've got the money in your account for 30 days, you will get the study visa. But for countries like the US and Canada, you could make 100% school fee payment, and yet they'll turn down your visa. 100. I'm not saying parts.
It actually varies from country to country.
Because there's no point base. Now, because these countries see themselves as good countries and economically, so this man may not really be intending to study. Or this man may be intending to study, but he still got some, from the undertone of his application is that he's going to stay back. Because they want to be sure that when you finish studies, you can go back. In as much as they have multiple routes that you can actually become a resident. I mean, change your visa status. But at the point of application, you must show that. So where does that come in? It means for a country like the US, Canada, and some other countries, it means you also need to show that you will come back. And how will you come back? It's either you have a job and then you're going on leave without pay. If the person is a minor, 16, 17, 18, your parents have got the money, there are no strong grounds to be refused. When we're talking about people who are beyond, if you are 16, 17, 18, even 19, fine, you could get that. But for example, you pay all the fees in US and then you're 25, you're going for an undergraduate course, and you finish secondary school at 16. 9 years of so what have you been doing over 9 years that you're going for an undergraduate course of study? So sometimes the consular wants to see he's not really young. At this age, you should be doing a postgraduate course. Instead, you're doing an undergraduate. It gives room for suspicion. But however, it doesn't mean that they may not issue. But the chances of getting such visa issued is low. If it's postgraduate, fine. But of course, who is sponsoring you? If all you have is just the money you have with yourself, just to show you want to go and study in the US and Canada, it's likely that you'll be turned down. Because if this money finishes, who will supply the remaining money? And so sometimes you may need to come with a sponsor. And sponsors cannot just be one stranger somewhere. In Nigeria, it's not real. These people live with us that talk to you or that assess your application. I don't just go, except maybe if it's faith-based organization, a scholarship from a foundation or stuff like that. One uncle that is 10 miles away cannot just choose to start sponsoring you abroad when he never sponsored your primary, secondary, because you need to bring proof. I have one of my cousin I've been sponsoring from school, right from secondary. She's in her finals and she's likely going to be studying outside of Nigeria. Now from her school, from those results the school have been filling, I have my name as her guardian. We don't have the same names. Our surnames far, but there have been proofs that I have been a guardian. There have been pictures from where this person have been growing, and they need to see those proofs that this person, I have been responsible for this person, not just because of this particular situation. And that's why most times it's inexhaustive. They ask you to submit document. Nobody specifies, bring anything to support your claim. So for study visa, the UK is point based. for the US, for Canada, it's not point-based.
It's not point-based.
You must prove that there will be enough money to take care of your studies so that you can return after your studies.
Okay, this is quite intensive. I think it's beginning to be clearer to me now, because most times we just wake up one day and say, I want to travel, and then when they refuse you visa, we start complaining that
the rate of refusals are quite high, in as much as most Nigerians want to go, but you want to go for study, you've paid your fees, it's not enough to go pack your bags. If it's the UK, I could tell you that, but if it's for some other countries, no, it's not enough, because they need some further assessment to be sure that you could. I've had somebody, now you can imagine when somebody traveled. I have had a client who came to us, traveled to Canada and back, and then she applied. She still has valid Canadian visa for 4 years. She applied for study visa and she was turned down from a student visa. And of course, why would we most visas are turned down on the basis of the fact that we are not sure you're going to come back. But at the end of the day, what did they tell her? What they said is that from what you have submitted, even if you've been to Canada, they gave a number of reasons why we are sure that you don't have the intent to return back to Nigeria after your studies. In Canada, you can hardly find any student in Canada that doesn't become a permanent resident, except by choice. It's quite easy, especially when you finish a postgraduate course. But they know that their route is there. But at the point of application, you cannot just point it to them. I want to go to Canada so that I can become a resident after studies. No, it doesn't work.
Okay, so much to talk about. I mean, when we come back, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about, how you can actually point out this, a lot of travel agents there, but we'll be right back.
If you don't know, get to know. I'm the one to call JJC with skills.
Hey, what's good? My name is Nonso Basi.
Hello, people. My name is Toka Makbara. I'm a film director.
Hi, guys. My name is Shone Olamleko.
My name is Chidi Hezie Okafo.
This is Dantagos Jimmy from the movie Hyradeb, executive producer.
They call me the Big Daddy.
Hi, my name is Charles Granville, and you're watching
Oxford TV. Shout out to Oxford TV. Keep watching. Don't touch it.
And keep watching Oxford TV.
Keep watching
Oxford TV.
And you get all the authentic and entertaining news right here.
Keep watching
Oxford TV.
Oxford TV.
Hi guys, my name is Tommy Watsebe. I'm an actor, and keep watching
Oxford TV.
Keep watching
Oxford TV, because Tomowa said so.
Keep watching Oxford TV.
That's what's up.
Don't touch that down.
Don't go anywhere.
Oxford TV.
A place to be.
Ebano. Ciao.
You're welcome back once again, and we still have Lucky and you're in the house, and we are still talking travels. Come to think of it, the African continent has like about 54 countries. And yet, whenever people want to travel, the countries that come to their mind is the United Kingdom, USA, Canada, and then the European countries. Why don't people even try Africa? Are we saying that Africa is not?
The question is that why are they traveling? That's the first thing.
You talked about like someone wants to just go on a vacation. And when people want to go on a vacation in Africa or in Nigeria per se, they are thinking of.
It just to tell you that a lot of people have migration in their mind, even if they call it vacation. There have been people, and some people see it as like how do I say, maybe a backup. So if I've been going on vacation to the US and things turns south, I could just go and stay back. Maybe. But of course, staying back, you know what that also implies, because you're staying back, there are certain authorizations you don't have, except you understand what you need to do to actually get yourself, because you're going on a tourist visa.
They're now start doing Okay, so we talked about tourist visa, we talked about the study visa. Now let's talk about migration for those of us, because my DOP here right now, he wants to Japa. So let's talk about migration.
Yes, migration. Migration in any way is just, we're talking about people who want to go live and work, live or work. And to migrate to some countries, they have programs. Of course, generally, migration have always been either you are migrating because you've got any of your family relative there. That's one route. Maybe your spouse lives there, or is resident or a citizen. Such person could file.
Yeah.
Some countries allow even children to file for their parents. Children that are up to 21 years who are residents or citizens in such countries. And why other countries and the one that is common is the migration programs, like the Canadian immigration program. Canada needs people who live and work in Canada. Most of those posters we see all around or online. Now, that program, if I'll specifically, Canada has that program, similar program by Australia, similar program also by New Zealand. Different countries with different migration programs. But however, these programs are not just easy. You know, one thing that baffled me one day was when I saw there was a guy that came for a seminar, because we run travel seminars free just for people to be aware at certain times of the year. And you know, he's a carpenter. He could hardly express himself. And he said he went to collect a form, and him and his family will be migrating to Canada soon. And I was like,
a carpenter. Okay.
Yeah. First thing I asked him, I said, definitely it's true the Express Entry, which is run by Canadian governments or provincial nomination, as whichever. It's a complex concept. And I was like, have you taken the IELTS? Do you have a trade test certificate? Of course, you need to have a trade test certificate, which means a document that shows that you know carpentry. You know, this joinery you're doing, you have gone to a technical school, so there has to be a document.
Some form of document, yeah?
Then outside that, you must be able to score good. Even if it's the federal skill trade. We have the federal skill worker, which are for graduate, the federal skill trade, which are for people with
handiwork
some kind of
and all of that.
work. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, if this guy were to take IELTS, he can't score 2 over 9. You can't even just write. And then you still find agents that say, come collect the form, it's possible, collect this with it. They just want to feed on that little thing you bring. And I was sincere to him. I said, have you filled any form online? He said, just collected the form. They collected this, collected passport. We're just going down the drain. Now, for you to get the Canadian visa program, which is also called run under the Express Entry, you must qualify for it. You must write the English test, and at least you should be able to score 7.0 across board. In listening, speaking, reading and writing. I mean, ideally, a good score is 8. A good score is 8, but 7, you should be able to hit 7. Outside that, so if you don't hit 7, it's a big problem. Most people will tell you 8. Outside that, you evaluate your qualification. You have to send that to certain bodies. West, I think there are about 2 bodies. You pay and they evaluate your qualification, which is your academic qualification. Excuse me. And then, but people have not done any of this, and they want to go to Canada. Sometimes when we run seminars, we tell everybody, get a piece of paper. Let's calculate what your score will be. Some people calculate their score and say, let's assume you score 7.0 in English. Let's look at your present age, for example, because they also grade you based on your age. The ideal age for Canada is 19 to 29. Once you get 30, 31, 32, your scores begin to drop.
Wow.
But however, most people, when they calculate, somebody says I scored 288, someone says I scored 192, somebody says I scored 300. And I say, okay, let's go to the live draw. The live draw happens once in every 2 weeks. And you see the list is about 400, sometimes 480, 470, 460. And I tell the people, we have even hyped your score and see what you'll get. You've not taken the test, which I'm sure you cannot make 7 or 8.0. We assume 8. So people do not do those evaluations. Some people must have gone in. I have a friend that took IELTS 13 times, yet did not still go through that same program.
Wow.
It's money. Each attempt.
You pay for the test. Wow.
And so he needs to get an ID score. He couldn't get it at the 13th attempt. He's actually in Canada now, but actually got PR through studies. But however, it's good people understand that this migration, do I qualify? So go to a consultant that will be very straight or sincere with you and tell you whether you qualify or not. Not just somebody who is just interested in giving you the talk. And you know, something are really, really annoying when prospect or clients come and they tell you, I need a visa. How much do I need? Visa does not come by the 10 million you
10
give
million
to
you
us.
have.
You need to understand that it's a process. And even if we need to get you a visa, you must be able to adhere to that process. There's an applicant we're actually handling at the moment. I mean, he's got investments in USD over 300,000 US dollar. And in Naira, we're talking about millions running to over 50 to 60. But he has always been turned down visa for visas. Why? He has this money, but he has not been able to present himself. Because sometimes you're actually trying to say, where's the source of this fund? You could have just scammed somebody Sunday and then he just pays you some money, maybe steal the same money from their own brothers there in the US or Canada that you're actually showing them as your source. So you must have a clear source of funds, and if you don't have that, you need to understand what it takes to get that on. So
for someone now that, okay, you've tried, let's say for instance, you've tried to go to the UK, that's the United Kingdom, and then you were refused.
Yeah.
Can you try the US?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so
but it's also you can try anywhere, but it's also to understand. Maybe if it's, I guess you're still talking about tourists now. You can still try the US, but however, do you qualify still? That's why most times when they refuse you, they tell you that maybe when your situation changes, come back. The point is that do you still qualify? You've tried Canada, you've tried the UK. Something is wrong. So are you presenting yourself in the right light? That's the question. But you can try. And then also it's also about trial, like what we always tell people. You go to an agent and he tells you he wants to process visa for you. He's not concerned about your history. How can somebody not be concerned about your history? Or
so like your history, probably because you've been refused visa.
Maybe not even from that same embassy.
Okay.
Because there are agreements in place to share information, and you are presenting yourself as an engineer to embassy A, you are presenting yourself as a doctor to embassy. I mean, like I always say, there are some people that can never get visas to certain countries, never.
Hey.
Because they have the wrong profile. The profile have already been tarnished. Because who are we going to believe? You really need an experienced immigration consultant to be able to present you in the right light. And that's why when some people like that come, we tell them, you are going to sacrifice like 2 applications, because we are going to use 2 applications to make the things right. Because by the time we are putting on information, it's contradicting the previous. We are trying to explain why the previous have been that way. Definitely, you likely will be refused. And then we want to now be consistent with this information that we are actually putting on. Some people have gone for visa application 5, 6, 7 times, and different agents, different presentation, different profiles. Doesn't work. So to migrate, there are some of those programs that are available. Even like in the US, they have the US visa lottery, which Nigeria is not qualified for.
I think they've removed Nigeria from that.
Yeah, Nigeria, the reason why Nigeria is removed, not Nigeria was actually removed. The US has a policy. Any country that has more than 50,000 of its citizens that become permanent residents in the US, within a space of 3 years, that country will not qualify.
So Mrs. Nigeria has
so on the average, about 20,000 Nigerians become permanent residents in the US.
So like currently we're saying that Nigeria has over 20,000.
That means for the last 3 years consecutive, about 20,000, over 20,000 become permanent residents. Either through studies, either because your brother in the US filed for you and you became, through any means that these people become permanent residents, because they have record. So because the visa lottery is for countries with low migration to the US. So we have been out of... Nigeria used to be the lowest migration in the US before the visa lottery started. The least country. And that's why we were having the highest wins. Nigeria will be running 7,000 when some countries were running 300. Why? Because the quota for country qualification for selection in visa lottery is also based on the country. The country with the least migration has more.
Wow.
So we are out there that people cannot do that. But the only one, there's still the employment-based visas in the US that is available, where people can get permanent residence from here directly. But this time they focus on people who are well experienced. People who are experienced, maybe you've had like
that's
up
how
to
they
10
come
years.
and take our doctors and our professionals from over
like,
here.
I always say something. What's wrong with taking your doctors?
I'm not against it. I'm just saying
those
are the kinds of people they look for.
Yeah, I was looking at I was listening, I've forgotten the country. They were talking about diaspora remittance. Is it Kenya or one of those countries? For every Nigerian who is out there, there is forex that comes to Nigeria. And they call it diaspora remittance. People send money to their loved ones and then it brings dollar. And once they send those dollars, it's actually going to your, what do they call, our reserves. So what's wrong? Like I will say, we already have problem of unemployment. Why are you talking about, have you employed all the doctors? There are some doctors earning less than 100,000. So let the experience go and let those who have been in take over. We have problem of unemployment. Why are we troubling about them, taking our engineers?
So you're for people jackpying?
My point is this. If you are out of this job today because you are out there doing something better, somebody else takes this, that's a job for somebody. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, so nobody's going to take my job for now because I don't want to jackpot yet. I love my country. I mean, we can actually all stay here because you know our flag is green, and white. Yeah. And green represents the rich agricultural nature of our country, and white represents peace. We can all actually stay here.
It's a nice place to stay. You know, most times when I talk to people who are like, "Why are you not staying there? You're always traveling every now and then." And XYZ. I say, some people must stay here. But I am a strong advocate of if professionals leave, they would not, if they were professionals practicing here, they will still die one day and somebody else will take that place. We're talking about unemployment and somebody is saying, stay back. I mean, and you can't even pay the person what is commensurate with the kind of service he's giving.
All right, so let's go on another short break and we'll be right back.